typical landscape, except right in the middle, your eye is just drawn, as if magnetically, to this circular complex. It's like nothing else in the area.
I can't really imagine what it could be. You've suddenly got something which looks positively otherworldly. It's completely baffling.
Military historian Martin Morgan scans the image. He considers if the shapes are a relic from World War II.
I spend a great deal of time on European battlefields. These look to me like they might be craters. You can look at craters from explosions from the American Civil War, and they're still visibly discernible. And so it's not unsurprising that craters from a mere 75 years ago can still be seen.
In September of 1940, German Luftwaffe bombers fill the skies over the United Kingdom. The Nazis pummel key industrial targets, including shipyards in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Hitler hopes to cripple the Allied war machine and force the British to surrender.
Belfast and the surrounding area that constituted Northern Ireland as a part of the United Kingdom, that was fair game.
Belfast is a big port, and it's also a place where a lot of ships get built. Let's not forget, this is the birthplace of the Titanic. Hermann Goering, in charge of the Luftwaffe, looks at Belfast and says to his bombers, "Flatten it." Literally, death is raining from the skies in the form of massive bombs, some of which are incendiary bombs that are just designed to set light to as much as possible. Belfast burns.
The 800-mile flight from Berlin to Belfast over mainland Britain taxed the Nazi Air Force to its limits.
It represented a bit of a gamble of precious resources. And the precious resources were aircraft and the trained air crews that flew them. And that's because to strike Belfast, it was twice as far away as London, for example. And the farther away the target, the deeper the penetration, the higher the casualties.
According to informants, during this so-called Belfast Blitz, the Luftwaffe receives assistance from Irish terrorist groups.
There are a lot of rumours that members of the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, who are bitter foes of Britain, actually lit beacons to help the Luftwaffe bombers navigate their way to Belfast. Now, this has never been proven, but it's quite likely to be true.
Yet the site in the image is over 30 miles away from Belfast.
So that would make you tend to think that, well, it can't possibly be World War II bomb craters. But the Germans weren't exactly accurate all the time. And there were moments when they bombed the wrong place.
During one raid in 1941, German targeting was so inaccurate that they dropped an entire payload of bombs meant for Belfast on Dublin, 87 miles away.
It's said that only about 2 to 5% of bombs actually hit their target.
Circumstances were really kind of stacked against accuracy in a profound way. You're using all analog systems, you're using sights that had to compensate for altitude, airspeed, ground speed, the weight of the ordnance itself.
However, investigator Sheila Hoffman thinks the perfect symmetry of the structure casts doubt on Morgan's crater theory.
What's really noticeable about these circles is the hard edges on them. They're not fluffy edges, they're not explosive edges.
Further image analysis reveals the circles aren't depressions after all.
This satellite image shows that this circle actually appears to be a mound. The fact that there's a circle within the circle indicates that there's more significance to this site.
Karen Bellinger spots something unusual inside one of the mounds. A ditch. For Bellinger, this suggests the formation has its origins in Ireland's ancient past.
These mounds have very clear ditches on their interior perimeter. Defensive ditches are always outside of a mound. This, to me, is a very clear example of Neolithic earthenwork henges.
Henges are Stone Age monuments. Their origin and purpose remain a mystery. Around 2,000 years after it was built, it's likely that this henge was used by Celtic pagan savages.
Celtic tribes were in constant conflict with each other. Typically before battle, they would have their priest perform ceremonies to get the tribe ready for the conflict ahead.
Celtic Druids are known to have indulged in ritual bloodletting. Archaeologist Mark Altaweel speculates that before battle, humans, including young men and girls, were killed here to pacify and please pagan gods.
Typically, the Celts captured someone to sacrifice them. They would perform these rituals on these mounds, places that were elevated, in a way bringing them closer to their gods.
For all their use of extreme violence, the Romans considered human sacrifice barbaric, and Julius Caesar comments on the savagery of Celtic Druids.
He tells us in his writings about the Gallic Wars that the Druids would build an enormous human effigy.
An actual large statue of a man made of wicker, almost as if he were a cage, would be constructed to hold hundreds of individuals.
Druids would throw in animals and people and set them alight. They literally burn people alive.
When archaeologists excavate the center of the site captured by satellite, they discover something baffling.
One of the most bizarre finds that archaeologists have found within this circular enclosure is the skull of a primate known as a Barbary ape.
Barbary apes come from North Africa's Atlas Mountains.
What is an ape doing in Ireland? It's a very curious kind of discovery.
Ancient Irish mythological texts suggest that the structure may hold yet more secrets. The texts name the site as the headquarters of the Red Branch Knights, one of the royal courts of legendary Celtic kings of Ireland, and the seat of the king himself.
The image that we're looking at may be showing us one of the most important pre-Christian communities in Ireland. This might be the seat of this Ulster kingdom that was once located here.
A place of ritual pagan bloodletting, or the remains of one of the thrones of the legendary kings of Ireland. This ancient monument continues to guard its secrets.